From wardrobe malfunctions that changed television forever to middle fingers that cost millions, the Super Bowl halftime show has seen more drama than a soap opera on steroids. You think you're just tuning in for some music between football? Think again. We're counting down every major halftime controversy that had America clutching their pearls and the FCC working overtime. Number 7, Louisiana officials versus Kendrick Lamar, 2025. All right, let's kick this off with the freshest controversy that's still brewing as we speak. When the NFL announced that Kendrick Lamar would headline the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans, you'd think everyone would be pumped, right? Wrong! Louisiana state officials are already sweating bullets about what K-Dot might bring to the Superdome stage. Here's where it gets spicy. A group of Louisiana elected officials actually sent a letter to the NFL brass, basically begging them to keep the show family-friendly. They're citing past performances by J-Lo, Rihanna, and yes, the infamous Janet Jackson incident as reasons why they're worried. These officials are clutching their pearls so hard, they might turn them into diamonds. The letter specifically mentions Louisiana's community decency standards, which, let me tell you, is rich coming from the state that gave us Mardi Gras. They're acknowledging it's too late to change the contract for 2025, but they want future agreements to include guidance on keeping things PG. Talk about trying to close the barn door after the horse is bolted. What's really going on here? Well, Kendrick's known for his raw, unfiltered lyrics about police brutality, systemic racism, and street life. His Pulitzer Prize-winning album, Damn, isn't exactly Mary Had a Little Lamb, if you know what I mean. The officials are basically terrified that little Timmy might hear some real talk about America during his chicken wings and 7-layer dip. But here's the kicker: Kendrick already performed at the Super Bowl in 2022 alongside Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. And guess what? The world didn't end. Sure, he made some subtle protest gestures, but nothing that scarred anyone for life. These Louisiana officials are essentially trying to put training wheels on one of the greatest artists of our generation. The irony? They're worried about protecting the children during an event where grown men violently collide with each other for 3 hours, punctuated by beer commercials and betting ads. But yeah, sure, it's Kendrick's lyrics that are the problem. This controversy is still developing, and we'll see if the NFL caves to the pressure or lets Kendrick do his thing. My money's on Kendrick bringing the heat regardless. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. Number 6, the Lil Wayne snub heard round New Orleans 2025. Now this one hit different, and it literally broke hearts across the hip-hop community. When the NFL announced Kendrick Lamar as the 2025 Super Bowl halftime performer in New Orleans, there was one glaring question on everyone's mind: where's Weezy? Lil Wayne, born and raised in the Big Easy, had been publicly campaigning for this gig like it was a presidential election. The man literally said performing at the Super Bowl in his hometown would be the pinnacle of his career. He was dropping hints on podcasts, making it crystal clear that this was his dream. The guy who put New Orleans hip-hop on the map, who survived Hurricane Katrina with a city, who bleeds black and gold, and they gave it to someone from Compton. The aftermath was brutal. Wayne posted an emotional video on Instagram that had grown men crying into their Hennessy. With tears in his eyes, he said it broke him and hurt a lot to be passed over. This isn't just some rapper being dramatic. This is a legend who helped make New Orleans culturally relevant to an entire generation, getting snubbed in his own backyard. The hip-hop community exploded. Fans started comparing it to when the Saints won the Super Bowl without having a New Orleans artist perform. It's like having the Olympics in Atlanta and not inviting Outkast. The controversy divided the hip-hop world team. Wayne argued about hometown loyalty and legacy, while Team Kendrick pointed to his recent cultural dominance and broader appeal. Here's what makes this even more painful. Wayne grew up in the Holly Grove neighborhood of New Orleans, started with Cash Money Records as a kid, and literally has New Orleans tattooed on his body. He's performed at numerous Saints games, repped the city in every single album, and even has songs dedicated to New Orleans. But when the biggest stage comes to town, they import talent from California. The NFL and Rock Nation, who helps organize the halftime shows, stayed silent on why they made this choice. Some insiders suggested it was about brand safety code for Wayne's controversial past and explicit content. Others whispered about behind-the-scenes politics and Jay-Z's influence through Rock Nation. The streets are saying there might be some old beef affecting new money. This isn't just about a performance, it's about respect, legacy, and what it means to represent your city. Wayne's emotional response showed us that even the biggest stars can have their hearts broken. And let's be real, denying Lil Wayne the New Orleans Super Bowl is like denying pizza to New York or deep dish to Chicago. It just feels wrong on a spiritual level. Number 5, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Great Unplugged Scandal, 2014. Picture this. You're watching Super Bowl 48. Bruno Mars is killing it, and suddenly the Red Hot Chili Peppers burst onto the stage shirtless and ready to rock. They're jumping around like maniacs, Flea slapping that bass like it owes him money, and then, wait a minute, is that bass even plugged in? The internet detectives went to work faster than you could say, give it away. And what they found sent shockwaves through the music world. Flea's bass wasn't plugged into anything. No cables, no wireless transmitter, nothing. It was like watching someone play air guitar, except it was real guitar that just happened to be as useful as a chocolate teapot. Vernon Reed from Living Colour was the first to call it out on Twitter. That guitar is plugged into nothing. When a legendary guitarist calls you out, you know you're busted. The evidence was overwhelming. High-definition cameras don't lie, and neither do thousands of eagle-eyed music fans with screenshots and CSI-level zoom capabilities. But here's where it gets interesting. 2 days later, Flea himself came clean in an epic statement on the band's website. And folks, this wasn't your typical celebrity non-apology. This was a full confession with a side of philosophical musing about the nature of live performance in the modern age. Flea explained that the NFL made it crystal clear from the jump vocals would be live, but bass, drums, and guitar had to be pre-recorded. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The NFL wasn't taking any chances after previous technical disasters. They wanted that halftime show to run smoother than a freshly waxed football field. But here's the kicker. The Chili Peppers decided if they were going to fake it, they weren't going to fake faking it. They deliberately didn't plug in their instruments as a form of protest. Flea called it the realest thing to do in the circumstance. That's like robbing a bank and leaving a note saying, "Yes, I'm robbing you, brutally honest, weirdly admirable, and completely bonkers." The controversy divided fans faster than a running back hitting a gap. Some praised their honesty and punk rock attitude. Others felt betrayed, like finding out Santa Claus is just your dad in a fat suit. Music purists were clutching their vintage vinyl in horror, while pragmatists understood the technical limitations of a 12-minute setup on a football field. Even Axl Rose chimed in with a sarcastic Billboard piece suggesting maybe Flea had a microchip installed in his ass that transmitted the bass frequencies. When Axl Rose is making fun of your technological choices, you know you've entered a special kind of controversy. The whole thing became a debate about authenticity in the age of technology. Is it better to fake it honestly or honestly fake it? Number 4, Black Eyed Peas, The Halftime Apocalypse, 2011. Oh boy, where do we even start with this one? If halftime shows were weather events, the Black Eyed Peas' 2011 performance would be classified as a Category 5 disaster with a chance of secondhand embarrassment. It started with such promise. The Peas descended from the ceiling like cyberpunk angels, dressed in outfits that looked like Tron had a baby with a disco ball. The stage was massive, the lights were insane, and then they started singing. I put that in quotes because what came out of their mouths was less music and more like robots having an argument in a wind tunnel. The audio mix was so bad, Fergie's mic might as well have been connected to a potato. will.i.am sounded like he was broadcasting from Mars. The group that gave us I Got a Feeling gave America a feeling all right, the feeling that someone needed to pull the plug on this train wreck. But wait, it gets worse. Slash showed up to play Sweet Child of Mine with Fergie. And let me tell you, Axl Rose probably wished he could travel back in time to prevent this from happening. Fergie's attempt at rock vocals was like watching a cat try to bark, technically making noise, but fundamentally wrong on every level. Then, Usher descended from the heavens, literally to perform OMG, which accurately described what everyone was thinking. He basically just jumped around shouting the chorus 35 times before doing a split and disappearing, probably to distance himself from this disaster as quickly as possible. The reviews were brutal. One critic called it hideous. Another said they brought youth but little else. ESPN viewers graded it an F, and this is from football fans who willingly watch the Pro Bowl. When sports fans think your entertainment is bad, you know you've achieved a special level of awful. The technical issues were legion. Dancers' light-up costumes malfunction. The stage formations were supposed to spell words, but ended up looking like someone spilled LED soup on the field. The attempted choreography looked like a flash mob that nobody told what they were mobbing for. What makes this even more tragic is that the Black Eyed Peas were at the height of their powers. They had dominated the charts. Their songs were everywhere. And the NBA and NFL were using their music for official promotions. This should have been their coronation. Instead, it was their execution. In 2019, USA Today ranked it as the 5th most disastrous Super Bowl halftime show ever, with Rolling Stone later calling it the absolute worst. The performance became the gold standard for halftime fails, the show every future performer watches to know what not to do. It proved that all the special effects and fancy stages in the world can't save you if you sound like you're performing inside a blender filled with angry bees. Number 3, Maroon 5 and the Kaepernick boycott crisis, 2019. Sweet mercy, this was the halftime show nobody wanted to touch with a 10-foot pole. The 2019 Super Bowl in Atlanta became the hot potato of the music industry, and Maroon 5 ended up being the band holding it when the music stopped. Let's set the stage. Colin Kaepernick had been effectively blackballed from the NFL for taking a knee during the national anthem to protest police brutality. The man went from Super Bowl quarterback to persona non grata faster than you can say social justice. Artists were choosing sides, and performing at the Super Bowl meant picking the NFL's side. The rejection list read like a who's who of music royalty. Rihanna said hell no and stood with Kaepernick. Jay-Z not only turned it down, but dissed the NFL in his lyrics. I said no to the Super Bowl, you need me, I don't need you. Cardi B, Pink, and supposedly several others all passed on what used to be the most coveted gig in entertainment. Enter Maroon 5, walking into this controversy like someone entering a bar fight wearing a Please Hit Me shirt. Adam Levine and company accepted the gig and immediately became target practice for everyone with a Twitter account and an opinion. An online petition demanding they back out got over 80,000 signatures. Amy Schumer publicly called them out, saying she wouldn't even do Super Bowl commercials in solidarity with Kaepernick. When comedians are taking moral stands against your band, you know you're in trouble. The pressure got so intense that Travis Scott only agreed to join the show if the NFL donated $500,000 to social justice causes. Big Boy from Outkast and Atlanta legend faced backlash for performing in his own city. Even Gladys Knight got heat for singing the national anthem. But here's where it gets really awkward. Maroon 5 tried to have their cake and eat it too. They matched the NFL's donation to Big Brothers Big Sisters, thinking charity would smooth things over. Then, in an unprecedented move, they canceled their traditional pre-Super Bowl press conference. That's like a boxer refusing to weigh in. It just made them look guilty. The show itself? Let's just say the controversy was more entertaining than the performance. They played it so safe, it was like watching paint dry in slow motion. And then, Adam Levine took his shirt off at the end, which led to FCC complaints about double standards since Janet Jackson got crucified for a nipple slip. The performance was universally panned. Critics called it boring, underwhelming, and a safe choice in the wake of controversy. The band that was supposed to bring the party brought a corporate PowerPoint presentation instead. They pleased nobody, not the activists, not the NFL, and definitely not the viewers. The kicker? In an interview, Levine said he expected the controversy and would speak through the music. Well, the music spoke all right. It said, "We're just here for the check." This whole debacle proved that sometimes the biggest controversy isn't what happens during the show, but whether the show should happen at all. Number 2, MIA IS $1 million middle finger, 2012. Talk about making every second count. MIA had maybe 2 minutes of screen time during Madonna's 2012 halftime show, and she managed to create a controversy that lasted longer than most NFL careers. During Give Me All Your Lovin', a song title that became ironically prophetic, MIA decided to give America something else entirely, a perfectly extended middle finger, broadcast in crystal clear HD to 167 million viewers. Not only that, but she appeared to mouth, "I don't give us asterisk, asterisk, asterisk," just to make sure everyone got the message. The NBC censors, who had a 5-second delay specifically to catch this stuff, missed it completely. That finger flew free across America, into living rooms where families were just trying to enjoy their nachos and friendly violence. Within seconds, social media exploded like she'd just thrown a grenade into the internet. Madonna, of all people, was pissed. The woman who built a career on controversy was clutching her pearls, saying MIA ruined the loving mood of her performance. Madonna calling someone out for being inappropriate is like a shark complaining about someone else's teeth. She called it negative and such a teenager thing to do, which, coming from someone who was 53 and still writhing around in a cheerleader outfit, was pretty rich. But here's where it gets insane. The NFL didn't just want an apology. They went nuclear. First, they filed for $1.5 million in damages, but that was just the appetizer. They then demanded an additional $15.1 million, claiming that was the value of the exposure MIA got from appearing on the show. That's $16.6 million total for one finger. MIA fired back with a legal response that was basically a doctoral thesis in hypocrisy, pointing out all the sexual content in NFL programming, the violence inherent in football, and asking why her finger was worse than cheerleaders in tiny outfits. She even brought receipts, citing Prince's guitar stroking and Madonna's own provocative performance. The NFL's proposed settlement was bonkers. They wanted a percentage of her income for life, based on a sliding scale, 50% if she made between $500,000 and $2.5 million. And if she made over $5 million, they wanted everything. They literally tried to make her an indentured servant over a finger. The FCC received 222 complaints, with viewers writing things like, "MIA gave me and the entire viewing audience the finger," and parents lamenting that their kids had to see it. One viewer demanded she be banned for life to send a message. The irony of complaining about a finger during a sport where people regularly get concussed was apparently lost on everyone. The legal battle dragged on for over 2 years before finally settling confidentially in 2014. MIA later revealed that even Jay-Z told her to just sign the settlement, but she refused on principle. The woman who sang Paper Planes almost had her paper turned into NFL property. This controversy proved that in the NFL's world, a middle finger is apparently more dangerous than chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It also launched the term pulling an MIA into the cultural lexicon and made future performers realize that every gesture could cost millions. That's one expensive finger. Number 1, Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction, the nipple that changed television, 2004. Here it is, folks, the granddaddy of them all, the controversy that makes every other halftime scandal look like a church picnic, 9/16 of a second. That's how long Janet Jackson's breast was exposed during Super Bowl 38, and those 9/16 of a second changed everything. The setup seemed innocent enough. Janet was performing with Justin Timberlake, ending with "Rock Your Body." The lyrics said, "I'm going to have you naked by the end of the song." And Justin, being a man of his word, reached over and ripped off part of Janet's costume. But instead of revealing a red lace bra as planned, America got an eyeful of Janet's breast, complete with a sun-shaped nipple shield. The reaction was instantaneous and nuclear. CBS's switchboard lit up like a Christmas tree on fire. The FCC received over 540,000 complaints, more than any other event in its history. Parents were screaming about corrupted children. Conservative groups were calling for boycotts. And somewhere, a CBS executive was definitely updating his resume. The term wardrobe malfunction, coined by Timberlake's team, entered the dictionary faster than you can say damage control. But here's the crazy part. This wasn't just about a nipple. This became a full-blown culture war. The incident happened during George W. Bush's presidency, at the height of conservative power, and it became a rallying cry for decency in media. CBS got slapped with a $550,000 fine, the maximum allowed by law. MTV and CBS were banned from producing future halftime shows. The FCC went on a censorship rampage, fining stations for everything from fleeting expletives to pixelated butts. TV networks instituted longer delays and stricter standards. The Parents Television Council had a field day. But the real victim? Janet Jackson. While Timberlake went on to megastardom, Janet was blacklisted. Her music was pulled from radio stations, her videos banned from MTV, her invitation to the Grammys was rescinded. Les Moonves, then head of CBS, personally orchestrated her punishment. Meanwhile, Timberlake, he performed at the Grammys that week and won awards. The double standard was so obvious, it hurt. The white boy who actually did the ripping faced zero consequences, while the black woman became radioactive. Janet's career never fully recovered, while Justin became one of the biggest stars on the planet. It took him 14 years to properly apologize. The incident literally created YouTube. The founder said they started the video sharing site because they couldn't find clips of the incident online. Nipplegate became the most searched term in internet history at that point. DVR sales skyrocketed as people realized they could pause and rewind live TV. The cultural impact was massive. Every halftime show since has been sanitized within an inch of its life. Artists now sign contracts with massive penalty clauses. The shows went from edgy performers to safe acts like Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones. When they finally got back to contemporary artists, everyone was on their best behavior. In 2021, the documentary Malfunction revealed just how orchestrated Janet's downfall was. Les Moonves allegedly said he wanted to destroy her career. The NFL threw her under the bus. CBS hung her out to dry. All over 9/16 of a second that changed American television forever. This wasn't just a wardrobe malfunction. It was a complete system malfunction that exposed America's hypocrisy about sex, race, and power. We could show violence all day, but heaven forbid we see a nipple. The fact that this is still the most controversial halftime moment nearly 20 years later tells you everything about its impact. There you have it, every major Super Bowl halftime controversy that had America losing its collective mind. From nipples to middle fingers, from boycotts to blacklists, the halftime show has given us more drama than most reality TV series. Which controversy shocked you the most? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into halftime chaos, smash that subscribe button harder than the NFL smashed Janet Jackson's career. Ring that notification bell to catch more videos breaking down the wildest moments in sports entertainment. Until next time, keep your wardrobe secure and your middle fingers down.